Hello everybody, I'm JackieKCooper and my entertainment rundown for today is a review of the movie Tenet, T-E-N-E-T. Now, for this movie, I haven't been to an actual movie theater since March. March 13th was the last movie I saw on the big screen. I've been watching movies on television, on my computer, etc. During this time. But Tenet I wanted to see in the movie theaters. The Christopher Nolan film, he makes big action movies that I've always enjoyed, the different movies that he's made. He did the Batman series. He did a movie called Memento, which is a great movie if you haven't seen it. He did Dunkirk. He's just got a reputation. Inception is in there. But he's got a reputation for these big, big movies. And the movie Tenet was supposed to have been released this summer, but they pushed it back. And finally, now that some theaters are open, not everywhere, but in some areas, it's showing on the big screen. And I took precautions. I called the theater, talked to the assistant manager, found out what they did sanitation-wise. You had to wear a mask, until you got into the actual theater, then you could take your mask off. I went to the first showing of the day of Tenet when I went to see it, and there was one other person in the theater besides me and my wife. So I felt perfectly comfortable. It's an individual decision for all of y'all. Some of you may have hesitations about going to movie theaters. Others may say, hey, John, doesn't bother me, I'll go. But it's a personal choice. But I wanted to see Tenet on the big screen. And it was a movie that is a riddle inside a riddle. It's the present, the past, the future all come into play in this plot about an agent, the protagonist, trying to save the world from destruction. He's played by John David Washington, who is Denzel Washington's son. He's a great actor. He fit the role. He did the action sequences very believably. His cohort in working to prevent the annihilation of the world is played by Robert Pattinson from the Twilight series. He was good, but he didn't have enough to do. There's the man who has the plot to destroy the world. He is played by Kenneth Branagh, and an excellent actor, and he kind of goes overboard, kind of over-emotes in this movie. And his wife is played by Elizabeth Debicki. I think I've got to get Debicki. And she, is trying to get away from him, but they have a son together. He's threatening to take the son away from them. But it's like this movie is a mashup of Memento and Terminator. You get a little bit of the elements of each. It's very difficult to hear some of the dialogue. I don't have the best hearing in the world, but somebody had told me from around the world that, when they went to watch the movie, that the dialogue just wasn't clear. Explosions were happening, and you couldn't really hear the dialogue per se. So I didn't even know they offered this in my theaters around here, but I got a closed caption device that sat in the drink holder, and it had the closed caption of everything it was saying. So if I was watching something and I couldn't understand, I looked down and it was just right there. The words were there. In this kind of movie, that is a lifesaver, because this movie is so complex, you're going to be thinking about it for days and days and days after you leave it, because you think, oh, that meant this meant that. That was in the past, this was in the present. Oh yeah, that was in the future, then it got to be the present. It's that kind of film. The dialogue isn't so great, but the storyline is. There are too many cliches in the dialogue, but the storyline itself is Christopher Nolan at his best. I mean, there are just so many things happening and firing into your mind at the same time. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. The movie is rated PG-13 because there is profanity and there is violence. I scored it 8 out of 10. Now that means it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. But this year, that's not saying a lot, because I haven't seen a lot of the A-list movies yet. Hopefully I will get to see them as they come out in their steady pace. But for now, Tenet, I had a great time. I understood everything that was being said because I had closed captioning, and I scored it 8 out of 10. Now, reach down there, hit that subscriber button so we can keep you informed of great movies like this, and you can be up to date on everything. But for today, this has been Jackie K. Cooper's Entertainment Rundown with a review of the movie Tenet.